following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
The Nostalgia Funhouse proudly dedicates all episodes in the loving memory of Connie Chirac. Hey, Johnny. I'm glad you finally showed up.
Oh, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I got lost on the way here. I mean, this is a heck of a line for this show.
Yeah, I heard the show's great.
I've heard nothing but good things. The Talk No Less Politics show. It sounds fantastic.
I don't think we're standing in line for that one.
That's what
I think it's
what this is.
Politics.
No, let's talk about it. That's what this show's called.
I see a different. Wait.
Okay.
No,
yes,
we're standing.
politics.
No, we're standing in line for the Nostalgia Funhouse.
Oh, you know what? That sounds even better.
Jeez. You know what? They probably got a really great sponsor.
I bet they do.
The look, the feel, the sound, so real. Entertainment.
The AK Centerfire automatic water weapon, batteries not included, with up to 30 feet of firing power, an extra clip for reloading, a shoulder strap for moving out. There's also the M16 rifle, the sidekick pistol, the RPG rocket water launcher, the AK Centerfire.
The look, the feel, the sound, so real. Entertainment.
Stop talking about Goldberg. We get it.
Sorry, I was just watching some Bret Hart stuff, and I was like, he's got a point. And then I just feel like repeating it as much as he does too.
Yeah, I get it. Goldberg was one of my favorites when I was a teenager. I was a WCW guy, man.
I was in the middle, but like I said the other day, I was very proud of my son when I did the when you're NWO, and he looked at me, he said, "You're NWO for life." And I was,
that would be a proud moment for me too if I was a father and my son did that.
That was a tear. That was a tear. We shared too sweet and went about our day. We still do it.
Yeah. Speaking of wrestling, welcome to the Nostalgia Funhouse.
Yeah.
Speaking of wrestling, Andrew, there have been some pretty wild wrestling action figures throughout the decades.
Yes, there has.
Remember the ones that would sweat?
Yeah, I do remember those. Did
you ever have any of the sweating ones? I didn't.
I never had any. I stopped after LJNs.
WCW put out some in the early to mid. No, it was probably mid to late 90s because Dennis Rodman's one of the figures. And those I would get because I was prime age for that. And I'd put on little wrestling matches, I had a great time. I had a Goldberg and Jericho headlining a lot of pay-per-views for me.
They didn't make a Relphus toy, did they? That's probably
I don't know.
That's probably
should have.
Greatest shames in the world is there was no Relphus toy.
Oh yeah, it's something the world deserved for sure. Good old Relphus, yeah.
It helps if I put in WCW. I have to check on this now.
Yeah, we got to know. There's bound to be one since then, at the very least, right? Because they put out, a lot of like historical.
I think maybe like a third party one.
Yeah,
like I know, like guys like Matt Cardona, and then there's a guy named Zombie Sailor are starting stuff like that, where they're putting out. What's that guy? That's the king of the big deathmatch guy.
Oh,
he went to jail for robbing a bank.
Dark Side. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he had an episode of that Dark Side of the Ring. I know who you're talking about.
Mr. Pete the Cutter.
Yeah,
Nick Gage.
Yes.
Nick Gage. He made a toy of Nick Gage and stuff like that. So maybe one day we will get a Relphus.
Maybe. If you're listening, please let this happen.
We don't have a Gobbledygooker, so those are probably top two. I would love a list.
Yeah, a list of toys, wrestling toys we need. We have to have
Gobbledygooker, Relphus.
That's top two right there. Yeah.
But today,
the Yeti. We need the Yeti.
Yes, we do. With Hulk Hogan humping action. It comes in a 3-pack.
Speaking of humping action, Andrew, what's our topic today?
banned or recalled toys because it is the holiday season. Merry Christmas. Probably be saying Merry Christmas for the next
Yeah,
three
Merry
episodes.
Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you
Yes.
celebrate. Welcome. We appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to be talking some really fun, some of these toys, I tell you, and I mean this quite literally, are a real pleasure to talk about.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. These are some interesting things that people were like, hey, you know what is a good idea? This. And then
Yeah.
it just turned out horribly,
I
horribly.
want to be in the boardroom for some of these. I want to be in the boardroom for, all right, Harry Potter just comes out.
Yeah.
Man, kids love Harry Potter. What's something we can do for Harry Potter? Oh, man. I know. They play Quidditch, right? Yeah. Oh, and they ride broomsticks? Oh, I know what you're thinking. This should be easy peasy. Let's make broomsticks for Harry Potter. And kids could pretend to be Harry Potter. So far, so good, right, Andrew?
Yeah, and maybe they should make like wind noises. That sound okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah.
Or
yeah.
you know what's better?
What?
Let's just have them vibrate.
That's why we hired you. You're a genius. Let's make something that will just go between the legs and make it vibrate like crazy.
Oh my god.
The holiday's most popular toy with honestly all ages.
The Nimbus 2000.
That's right. This is real. They made a toy broom, Harry Potter themed, that not only made great noises to make you pretend you were flying, but also to help simulate that idea of flying. They thought, let's make this vibrate between your legs.
I don't see why you would want it to even do that.
I mean, I understand as an adult why you would want it to do that.
That is 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, but
yeah, as an adult would let you sign me up for this thing. I need a couple minutes by myself, Andrew, and we can get back to the show after I play with my toy broom here.
This is going to be an episode here. Honey, I got you a broom, but don't worry, it vibrates too.
Honey, happy anniversary. Here, I got us something for tonight. It's a Harry Potter broom.
Here's one on eBay. It's going for about $200.
That makes sense. It's got to be an expensive thing now because it obviously was taken off shelves.
So, yeah, I could see why it was taken off shelves.
Yeah, I think they actually started selling it in some like adult toy stores, adult stores. I pretty sure I saw that somewhere.
Mattel did this?
Yeah.
So Mattel was like, "Hey, we could just shift it."
Yeah, let's make it shake, and we'll really Harry some Potters.
Here it is. Why are Harry Potter broomstick toys being sold in NYC adult shops?
There you go. Because it's a toy that just keeps on giving.
It was sold for $40, double the online retail price.
Yeah. What are you willing to pay? You know? What are you willing to pay for that great pleasure there?
I like it on this one.
Getting your Ron's Weasley.
Got your Hermione Grangered.
Yeah. Get your Harry Potter. I mean, we can go on and on.
Put away your Snape. Oh my goodness. That is something that we definitely did not need.
No. Let's talk about, let's bring up Barbie real quick, right?
Oh, are you talking about the one that I think of? Which one are we talking about? There's been two.
That's the thing. Actually, there's been more than that. Barbie has had quite the controversial life when it comes to toys. Many different releases of hers have met controversy. One of them, of course, let's talk about the roller skating Barbie. I don't know what words I'm saying. Barbary.
Put another shrimp on the Barbary.
Put another shrimp on the Barbary. Kangaroos. This toy was a Barbie doll that had roller skates that quote unquote worked, but at the same time it made sparks because they thought that was a good idea and nothing awful would ever come from this.
Bill Engvall did a bit on this.
Here's your sign. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's talking about how crazy do you have to be to skate Barbie? Like, honey, put away the gasoline when you're done and just skate Barbie through it. And they said on one of the recall things, that's what they did. They just pushed this Barbie through there and Barbie just went up in flames.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one is, I could see that one. The flame one that's more or less like, what is your kid playing around? What do you have
Yeah.
laying around in your house in a way? But then as I was reading more into it, it was pretty much a lighter.
Yes, that's the
In that.
thing. Like, I don't.
So that was my moment of clarity. Now looking more into this, that you're pretty much just giving your child a lighter too.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're pretty much
You're literally letting them play with fire.
yes, you're leaving almost, if they don't completely spark out, fragments of flammable filament. I'm surprised I got that.
That's impressive. I wouldn't even tried that.
The other day I couldn't even say the name of a segment, but
I just said Barbary.
yeah, so there you go. I always tried to say it again, but I'm not going to. Around the house. So this is not a very, very good toy.
No, and it's just a terrible idea. There's so many things you could have done. Like just make her be able to roll. That's all kids want. If a toy's supposed to roll, just let it roll, and you've done your job.
I would love for Matt if the network and the podcast precinct ever got big, and I could pretty much talk him into this. If we did donations, and he just tried to find all these band toys,
Put them all in one spot and just see what happens.
Band toy museum, and let those guys go at it. I'm pretty sure he would lose the studio, but
To a fire at the very least. Yeah.
yes,
But insurance
especially
is
with
gonna
roller
skyrocket.
skating. But
Yeah.
and there'd be a lot of happy people with the Nimbus 2000.
Oh man, you could probably just if that's a good thing. We need to tell them about that. So maybe like it can get even more people signing up. Like you can make that like a subscription service. You pay so much, you can come in and use the broom for 20 minutes, whatever you need. But make sure you clean it off afterwards.
It's the 2 recording areas. It'd be the third, the broom.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the pod cave. I got the couch. I'm gonna be in the corner with the broom, guys. Are you cleaning up? No, the other
Don't
broom.
mind me. I'm gonna lock the door. I'm gonna, I won't be available for about 5 minutes and just hear.
Oh, I forgot the paper towels. Definitely E on this episode. Definitely E.
Yeah, where's the Kleenexes? Yeah, but Barbie is just full of controversy. Real quick though, like I was saying, just make her be able to roll, and that's all you needed to do. The reason that Hot Wheels took off as a toy is because they changed the original wheels on it to I think they changed it to a more like a plasticky or more of a metalish type thing where they would actually roll really good. And that's when the toy really took off. Because that's what you want. If something is supposed to roll, just make it roll. And that's literally all you got to do. And that's a perfect toy. So that's all you had to do with Barbie. But no, they decided to go that extra mile.
Crash
and-
Hot Wheels.
Yeah. So let's talk about Black Canary Barbie.
Wait. Okay.
Black Canary is a DC comic character. She's in a Justice League, if I'm thinking right. But
yes,
she's also how can I say this?
We're already in E status as it is.
Yeah, but I want to be respectful to women.
Oh, okay.
So because her costume can easily be sexualized, right? And so they dressed Barbie up as this character, and she's got these fishnet legs on her legs. A very quote unquote sexy costume for a Barbie doll. And on top of that, it comes with a stand, and the stand goes up into her crotch. It does.
Like you could have put like a clip in the back.
That's what everybody else does. Nobody ever puts this. I don't care if it's a dude action figure or a lady action figure. Why are you sticking this up into the crotch?
Does. You just should have the like the U clip. You clip it in the back, a stand or pegs.
Yes, exactly. But no, they don't do that with this one.
This is
not
very
right up the old crotch there. And we're usually that's where a Harry Potter broomstick would go. But no, not this time.
Yeah, I just saw this one on. Oh, it's cheap, $60.
There you go.
Okay, I saw it. Once you said stand, I was like reading about it, and then you said stand, and I was like, I need to see this. But I don't understand that. That should just be a simple clip it in, you make it out of clear plastic. You don't see it because she's dressed all in black.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
not a very
And on top of that, just being weird, like it just makes any pose you can put her in just also weird.
yes. Like even if you had her like jump kick to the legs both sides, so this pole just extending up in there.
Yeah, lucky pole, huh? Yeah.
When did this come out? 2008?
Yeah, I don't think it was actually that terribly long ago.
I don't want to put any disrespect to any comic book fans or anybody like that because I know who Black Canary is from like Arrow and what else? Justice League, like the cartoons.
Yeah, same. Yep.
But this is kind of like a B, C list DC
Oh, yeah.
character. So,
Oh, yeah.
was there really a need to make a Black Canary Barbie?
Right. It's not like it's his Wonder Woman, right?
Wonder Woman, I get. Wonder Woman, I don't even know who else.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's A-list all the way. Yeah. Supergirl, I would say, is A-list.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty that you could do, you know, of that. Yeah. This feels like it's obviously, I don't think this was aiming for kids. I think this is aiming more for a collector, in my opinion. But still, kids are going to, it's a Barbie doll, and you think kids originally, just first off,
Yeah.
for Barbie dolls.
It said Toys R Us sold it on their website. This is how old this is. Toys R Us sold it on their website and it says recommended 14 and up.
Yes.
This is for
So was that broom
adult
we were
comic
talking
book
about?
collector. Huh?
So was that broom we were talking about? 14.
I think
and
the
up?
broom needs to be higher than 14 and up. But
Yeah, we'll go 16 and up on that broom.
this should have been sold in like comic book stores, not Toys R Us.
Exactly. Yeah. But I want to talk about my favorite one, and that's it's also comic book related, Andrew.
Okay.
There's a certain character who punishes those
Yes.
who may do terrible things. This, of course, is the Punisher. So they decided to make some characters. This was in the 90s when pretty much any toy line had something that transformed. It didn't matter what it was.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that before. The Turtles did it. I mean, honestly, any of your big toy lines, they would come out with a line of those toys that transformed for some reason, in some way. And Marvel was no different. The thing is, though, when they made the Punisher one, while you're transforming him, and I guarantee you, all you gotta do is look at Punisher toy, and this is one of the things that's going to pop up. A giant bazooka-like gun just comes right out of his penis.
With a missile.
Yeah.
Don't worry, folks. For safety, it has an orange tip. Gotta have the orange tip.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
And if you look at this thing, have you seen this thing transformed?
I mean, that's why I don't even have to use protection when I'm having fun, because I've painted the tip of mine orange.
Have you seen it transform into gun form?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks absolutely horrible.
Yeah. The full transformation is into a quote unquote gun. Think Megatron ish. I think that's what they were going for, but it doesn't.
Instead of Megatron-ish, try Megatron from Wish. This is what
Yes.
it looks like.
Yes.
Like Megatron
100%.
looks like a gun. This thing looks like a contortionist that just dislocated all their joints.
Yeah, and anytime you have a toy that has a projectile, I don't care where the projectile's coming from. You're just taking a chance anyway. Yeah, because kids, you can tell a kid, and just think back to when we're a kid, because I was the same way. You can tell a kid, hey, do not aim this at your friends' faces, or anything. I think. And what's the first thing you do? I'm going to go shoot at my friends.
I just watched a video where a kid had a Nerf gun. A little kid, probably no more than 5 years old, had a Nerf gun, just a little handheld, pulled back the little like charging thing, just pointed it right at its crotch, pretty much point blank range, and just
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
one of my favorite things I saw on when I was researching this, it wasn't that long ago, and these were really big in, I think, China. There were these crossbows, these little mini crossbows that you put a toothpick in.
Oh yeah, I saw
Did you
those.
see those? And you could shoot a toothpick, and they were aimed for, like, they were sold to kids. Like, it was like, this is a great idea.
I needed that for a couple of offices that I worked in.
Oh yeah, I can think of some great uses for it myself, but none of those uses would involve giving this quote unquote toy to a child.
No.
That's just asking for trouble. And of course, they were banned as soon as they arrived there.
So there was a toy. I owned one of these toys, and it actually took down a whole company. The
What's this?
the Intertech squirt gun.
Yes, this
That-
is a very famous toy.
It took down LJN because of how that was
Yes.
the whole thing. It was battery operated squirt guns that, as a kid, sounded amazing, but today I'm like, water, electricity. I don't know how that works,
Yeah.
especially in the 80s. Probably the technology wasn't there.
Yeah, this toy is historical. It's also the reason why you do not see any toy guns now that look like real guns. It's
And
because of these.
orange tip.
Yeah, that's why you see like brightly colored orange tips everywhere.
I actually had the pistol, the Sidekick pistol, based on a Colt 911, and that thing legitimately looked like a Colt 911.
Yeah. So what actually happened, and we cannot stress enough how big LJN was as a company. They'd been around forever. They had, I guarantee you, if you're into video games, if you grew up in video games, you played one of their games.
Yeah.
You played with one of their toys, any of this stuff. They were very popular, and they licensed these guns out. And what happened was they look real. And not only would kids get hurt because somebody thought they had a real gun, but criminals would actually use these things to rob banks and stuff.
It was definitely it's definitely interesting. Every time I watch Airheads, I think of these. Even though they
Yes.
spray paint the guns, the
Yeah.
the water guns, I think of these. But I had, it was the silver 1911 Colt, and that's what it looked like. Later on, I think they did come back out with them.
Yeah, but they
They were
changed
like,
how they
they
look.
were like fluorescent, and by that point, it was
Yeah.
done for them. And you got to figure LJN, because of this, they lost the wrestling license, which I think some wrestling figure collectors would probably say was a good thing because you would never got the Hasbro line, most likely.
Yeah.
Thundercats were kind of dying out, but they did Thundercats. Kenner did Silverhawks, even though nobody likes Silverhawks other than me, it seems like. But they did a lot of, like you said, a lot of other things going into everything, and then they just lost it all because of these massive lawsuits.
Yeah,
Now-
that's all it takes is like one terrible thing, like one controversy, and it'll sink your company.
This was bad.
Yeah, this is really bad.
The other one is, I didn't have them. My stepmom had them. She collected the Sky Dancers. Did you see those? And
Yes, my sister had one. I feel like didn't McDonald's do some little mini versions of them
I
or something like
think
that?
So
I feel like we had like my sister had one of those too. Like there was they would always do, they would bring out when they would do Hot Wheels that would quote unquote be the boys' toy, and then they would have something for the other side, and it would be either Barbie or, and I feel like Sky Dancers was that one time.
it probably was, but my stepmom had these. So, and my friend Joe and I, as you said before, we would actually shoot these things at each other.
Yes. What all they are is they're this plastic doll-like figure with wings, and you put it on this base, and I think there's like a button you push.
It's a
that
cord.
revs it up.
Like
A cord, yes. Okay.
So the harder you pull the cord, the faster that thing's gonna go, like a llama.
And it'll fly off that base, and it's kind of unpredictable. Like
Yeah.
you can't really discern where it's really going to go. It kind of goes its own way, really, because it's sort of doing a helicopter type motion.
And it was awesome because we used to just shoot the crap out of
You
them.
can make those things go super high. I remember that too.
They were We were so bad with these things. My stepmom still talks about it to this day. She's laughing and she's like, "You and Joe would come and get the damn sky dancers. Here you guys are." And we had to be like 14, 15, maybe 16 years old, taking these sky dancers in this vacant lot behind the house and just ripping them at each other. And there was this merry-go-round that she had too. It was like the ultimate, just like the Gatling gun of
Yeah.
minigun of sky dancers, and you just rip them all and run away. So,
So
yeah,
they would scratch kids' faces and do all kinds of terrible damage that way because people play with them like Andrew and his brother would.
my brother would never get caught. My friend Joe and I, we were bad.
Oh, you and Joe, yeah.
Yeah, me and my friend Joe, we were bad. I want to find this merry-go-round thing, but it was like this whole big thing, and you put them in there and you just ripped them, and they'd be like flipping out. Later on, I think they came back, or she had one left over, and she gave one to my wife because my wife's into dolphins. So me being the
You're also
kind
in the
of
Dolphins, to be fair.
yes, Miami Dolphins. That's had no affiliation. But even then, I would take my wife's, and we had like in our old house, we had kind of like a playroom for the kids. And I used to rip this thing, and then I give them pillows, and I go, "Cover yourself. It's gonna hit you. If it hits you in the face, you're out." So, as you, if you know me from anything else, you know that I've had quite a freedom childhood, but yet I didn't have freedom childhood. As I got to watch RoboCop at the age of 5, where most people tell me that's not a kid's movie, but to this
Yeah.
day, I stand firmly on the ground that it is a kid's
You push back on that for sure. Yeah.
yeah, Predator, all that stuff. There was not too much that I wasn't able to do. So having lax rules like that were the best. I think the best is I had those Nerf rival guns,
Oh yeah,
and I
yes.
used to, they would barricade in, and we'd play like American Gladiators type thing. And the one time,
Yeah.
and I'd give them masks, like they were like the plastic Iron Man masks. They were fine.
Oh yeah. Plastic. Yeah. Gotta have safety.
And one hit one of my kids in the cheek, and my wife must have been mad that day because all she did was go, "You knew if you were going to play with him, you knew he was just going to start aiming." So, so
Yeah.
that was but Sky Dancers, oh my goodness, that was horrible. Just teenage boys just playing with like these things, just pulling cords, just
Oh yeah, man. It's really fun too to go back and look at old toys and what
Yeah.
people thought would make toys. There's a lot of lead in a lot of toys as well. I
you
noticed
see-
like there's like a Hannah Montana card game that
yeah.
got recalled because it's just filled with lead.
The CSI. The
Yes.
Prick Kick had contained the powder cane 5% asbestos, and it was said that
Yeah.
they weren't going to pull it from the market until like this big like asbestos department was like, "No, you got to pull that out." There is one from like the 50s or the 60s. This thing was called the Austin Magic Pistol,
Oh man.
and it used these things that they called like power pellets or something.
Oh yes, yes.
Calcium
Yeah.
carbide. You mixed it with water. They showed it. It was like this huge back explosion and this ping pong. Go
Like after you
I
shot
love-
it, and this is a toy gun, after you shot it,
Yeah.
it would smoke from the barrel.
yeah, it was just these rocks, the power pellets in there. Oh, what was the other one from the 50s? Oh, the Atomic Energy Lab that had radioactive
Yes.
ore. That was my favorite. I was
Like, what can we? I got an idea. We teach these kids science. I love science. Let's give them plutonium or whatever it was.
Doc Brown should have just saved that. Well, I was trying to find the name of the one gun that it was from like the 50s or the 60s that was blowing out kids' eardrums.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the name of it either, but it was very loud, obviously.
Yeah, like created this like sonic, almost concussion boom. Oh, I found a picture of it. The Sonic Blaster.
There we
It
go.
looked like a big bazooka, and it would just. I saw this, I think, on Pawn Stars or something. It just randomly blow out kids' eardrums.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones was Cabbage Patch Dolls were huge. And then they decided, well, just like any toy line, they're going to try to do some stuff to put out different versions of characters and have to do different things. Think of all the different quote unquote things the Ninja Turtles did, right?
Gotta keep it fresh.
Yeah, you got to freshen it up. So you put Donatello in a trench coat, something like that. But what they did here is let's make these Cabbage Patch dolls able to eat. And how we'll do that is we'll have their mouths do like the chewing motion, and there'll be a motor inside, and we'll give them special plastic food. And when you put it into their mouths, they would actually ingest it because the motor's pulling it into the mouth. But what happens here is a lot of the kids playing with this are going to have long hair.
Yeah.
And your hair is going to get caught in there, and it'll get wrapped inside the motors and stuff, and it'll literally pull the hair from your scalp.
This is where I'm talking about, like, the technology just wasn't there. Like, great idea. Always great idea on paper, I've noticed for a lot.
Right, yeah.
And then in practical use, it's like, maybe not so much. I heard there was chewing on fingers and everything else too. It's like, no matter what you put by the mouth,
Yeah, it would
I tell the difference between its little snack and body parts or anything else.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yeah. I've also noticed that if you pay attention to just toys in general, they will start going in certain directions. Like right now, like the big craze is being able to poop. Have you noticed this? Poop stuff out, like, no, and I'm not talking just dolls. I literally saw, I'm big, I'm a nerd for Hot Wheels. They literally just released like a new garage. It has a dinosaur, and the dinosaur looks cool, but in the commercial they show where the dinosaur can eat your car, and then the guy even says and poops it out.
Oh,
I was like, why did you ruin it?
Yeah. I
Like,
don't
you
know
had a great concept and you're just ruining it.
I don't know where this poop thing came from, because I know as a kid, I would not have done anything with anything. If they were like, oh, it poops, I'm like, that doesn't sound like anything I want to play with.
Yeah, that just takes away any fun.
I don't want my Optimus Prime or Snake Eye.
What if they made an Optimus Prime?
And it poops out his trailer.
The new Optimus Prime.
Watch
You
Snake
can
Eye.
pose him in a bunch of different places, and he poops.
Yeah, well, that was one of the Barbies.
Yeah,
The magnet little dog poops. I noticed
Yep.
that there's like all this stuff with magnets. Magnets would fall out. I guess
magnets is just a terrible idea for any toy.
Yeah, what was it? I think Mega Bloks came out with it, the magnetics, and
Yeah.
some kid swallowed them, and then it just reformed in his esophagus.
Yeah, like a Voltron.
Yeah, this poor kid. I'm laughing at some-
Just imagine a Voltron forming inside your body.
But I was like, that's one of the one of the weirdest things. Polly Pocket, the magnets would pop out.
Yeah.
Glue people, let's use better glue. But the magnet thing was like most of the stuff that I was like looking at researching was just magnets.
Yeah.
And then the inflatable baby toys that would get faulty and pop. Did you see
that just makes sense to me that would be dangerous. I mean, anytime you're putting someone inflatable that could pop and you're putting your small infant in it and it's a pool, thankfully nobody died from it, because I would assume if you're a parent, you're there with your infant as they're swimming.
you should be.
Yeah. What about, we haven't even talked about lawn darts.
I was
which
just
is probably
looking at that one.
which is probably one of the most obvious ones. I feel like these keep getting released often, though, like different versions of them. I remember I have a very strong memory of going over to Trevor and Derek's house.
Did they have lawn darts?
I feel like they had a version of lawn darts, and we were talking about throwing them up in the air, and my brain was just thinking, this is going to hit me in the head and I'm going to die.
But that's the logic of a kid when you give them something like that. I
Yeah.
think when they come out with this stuff, they're thinking, okay, a kid's gonna know what to do. But if you're, it's the same reason. Like when I got my youngest son a BB gun, my wife flipped out. But once again, he has sets of rules. I have to be outside.
Yeah.
He wears the safety glasses. More of my wife, not me. But that's neither here nor don't do
But
this.
still, he has rules.
He has more of like, if it was an actual gun rule, don't ever point it at anybody.
Yeah.
Don't do this. And then they give you lawn darts. This pointed object that is a giant dart. Even darts in general are dangerous.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, I remember shooting darts at my uncle's house, and I wasn't allowed to play after a while because he had wood paneling.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hit the dartboard. I was like little. I was like maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, and I couldn't hit the dartboard. So he had nothing but holes in his wood paneling. He was like, I think you've done enough. And I'm like, okay. But even darts are dangerous. So why would you want to make it even bigger to make it even more dangerous? Because even I know as a kid, I wouldn't even care. I would be like, oh, there's Billy down there. Woo, we're just going to throw it anyways. If you get hit, that's your fault. And go from there.
I mean, this has even been in like cartoons. What was that one? Venture Brothers. There's an episode of Venture Brothers where they were talking about these lone darts, and it was like one of the bad guys on there was like, the way that you defeat me is we play lone darts, and we're playing this by throwing them up in the air, and if it hits you, you're out. That was one of his evil games, was lone darts.
You're definitely going to be out.
Oh yeah. Because that's what happened. People got hurt. Surprise, surprise. With this long pointy object, you're just tossing up into the air.
I don't know too many kids like looking at, I mean, obviously outside of the ones that are like asbestos, and we talked about like Intertac and stuff, like a lot of the, I don't know any kid that was like, I need to use this toy just in this way than anything else.
Yeah.
I remember I got a pump BB gun. It was like pump up to 5 times. I was like, no, we are going to go 30 until my arm falls off.
Yes.
And
I mean, that's anything, right? I mean, you're going to go, if you're a kid, I would even argue an adult, you're going to see how far you can take this thing. Yeah.
I know.
I mean, just think of, I mean, a great example, right, would be, there's a lot of these little cars that if you push back and you let go and they go by themselves, right?
Yeah.
But how many times do you just like push it back a little bit and let it go? Or do you push it back until you hear and then let it go, right?
It's that noise.
Which is obviously not good for that toy, but we all do it.
This was Toy Story. They'd be like, oh, stop. No. No. We are not going to do this. We are going to, whenever I think of a lot of these things, that's all I can think about is just what kid is actually using these in the way that they are. I guess slap bracelets were banned at one point.
Yeah, those were huge when I was in school. I remember those. I had a couple because I want to be one of the cool kids. And yeah, I don't even remember what were on mine, but they were a big fad when you were children.
And I guess they would fray and everything like that.
Like I remember in 5th grade, like our teacher every week, depending on how good you were, you would earn points or whatever. Mm-hmm. And at the end, you could turn in these points and get prizes from her little prize. It was basically just think like like a Chuck E. Cheese, and you get those tickets, you can turn those tickets in for these little cheap prizes. It's basically the same thing, but she had these snap bracelets, and all my friends had already gotten one. I was like, I got to get one of these so I can be one of these cool kids. So I saved up my good boy points and got me that snap bracelet, and I think I wore it once and then lost it right away.
That's probably why I don't remember being recalled like in that area. Easy Bake Oven at one point was gone because kids were burning themselves.
I mean, that just makes sense, right? It's literally a light bulb that heats up as hot as the sun. Yeah. And obviously kids are going to get burned on it. My sister got one of these. My sister got one of these. And I remember that because she got it for Christmas. And she tried making, was it brownies? I think you can make brownies is one of the things you could make.
You can make all this stuff now, but yeah, brownies is.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the early ones, right? So this would be in the late 80s, early 90s when she got this thing. And I just remember these brownies being just god awful. Because you're quote unquote making food with a light bulb in reality, if you think about it.
We got one for my niece. I think it was probably late 90s. And we were like, oh, you want to make cookies? And first you got to get like the hottest, like highest wattage light bulb, I believe, too, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we made the cookies and it was like eating sand. I was like, oh yeah, these are good. And she was little. So of course my mom and I were like, yep, these were good. Nickelodeon moon shoes or just moon shoes.
I remember those,
This
and
was
in my
like-
little kid brain would see these commercials for this and think, man, I'll be able to dunk a basketball with these things.
I'd be able to snap my ankle in 9 spots.
Yep, that's the reality.
I think that's
But
why I
dumb-
never had them, because my mom knew what they were going to be.
And they're basically like, the commercial makes it seem like they're little mini trampolines for your feet, right? That's what the commercial would make them seem like. Like, oh, I'm going to be bouncing all over the place. These are going to be great. But no, they're just ankle injuries just waiting to happen.
My wife wanted to get my kids. She's on this hoverboard kick, and she won't admit to it, but she's kind of a big kid like me.
Yeah.
She didn't grow up with much, so she wants to get like my kids everything for Christmas, or have Santa bring everything for Christmas.
Understood. Yeah.
And and I'm like, don't get hoverboards. I was like, my children are not very coordinated. If they can't bother with the skateboards we got them, then we're not doing hoverboards.
Yeah. I just feel like any of that stuff where balance is required, you're just really taking a chance.
Yeah, that was
I still remember I worked at this company and they actually sent me to San Antonio for a conference. And while I was there, because being a history nerd like I am, I wanted to see the Alamo. I want to see all these historical places in San
There's no-
Antonio.
there's no basement in the Alamo.
I found that out.
Big
Yeah.
bridge.
But they would do the Segway tours of San Antonio. You could, and it wasn't that expensive, and the company paid for it. And I was like, man, and I'd never ridden a Segway before. And I was very nervous because I do not have a history of great balance. I'm very, I'm
Those
very,
all based
I'm
on
very,
balance.
yeah, I'm very clumsy, and I'm proud to say I failed one time, but after that I got the hang of it, and they're actually a lot of fun. But yeah, any of these things that have balance that you have to have balance for, you're just asking to get for some kid to get hurt on, because these hoverboards are basically a Segway without the pole that actually helps you balance more, because you're just using your feet to balance. Think it's basically a redesigned skateboard in a way.
Yeah, it's weren't they supposed to like reinvent everything?
Yeah, I remember when it coming out. I think this is one of the things they said, like, that's what people are going to use to travel to work. That
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Nobody uses them other than to take tours. Like I know when we were in DC, you could take a Segway tour, and I was thinking, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I wanted to.
Well, I don't remember. I don't remember if this is actually true, but I know the big rumor going around was the guy who made it, the Segway, actually died using a Segway because he rolled off a cliff or something with it. I think.
Jeez.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I've definitely heard that a bunch of times.
I think probably the biggest one that we're not talking about is the toy that got recalled and also changed the course of toy history in a way. And that is the Battlestar Galactica. I think it's the Colonial Viper or the Cylon Raider with the rocket firing missile, where a kid fired it, went into his mouth, and choked to death.
All right, put a pin in that because I want to come back real quick.
Okay.
I Googled this. This is off
It's-
my Google thing. This is confirmed news. This is from different websites. It happened September 27th, well, around September 27th, 2010. It's BBC News, big reputable places. The millionaire owner of the Segway company has died after falling from cliffs while riding one of his firm's motorized scooters.
Oh my goodness.
So it's true.
It is.
It's true.
How do you?
Man, that's awful. What a wow.
That's. Isn't there somebody else in history that like died by their own invention?
There has to be, right? I bet there's
Yeah.
a whole list. I looked it up. You keep talking about the Battlestar Galactica toy.
Yeah. So there was the Battlestar Galactica. We all know about rocket firing things. So the Battlestar Galactica, there's the two. I'm not a Battlestar Galactica guy. I'm not Dwight Schrute. I would like to get into the earlier ones, but that's neither here nor there right now. But there's two ships. You have the Colonial Viper and the Cylon Raider, and they both fired missiles. One was fired. I don't know if a kid did it to himself, where it got fired and it got lodged in his throat, and he unfortunately died, which led to Kenner seeing this and going, you know what? we can't do this and have a rocket firing Boba Fett. So that is the reason why Boba Fett's rocket was permanently lodged in
Yeah.
to his
And that's why if you get
okay.
the one that actually fires, it's worth a lot of money.
Yes. I last time I saw it was on like Toy Hunter. He got it. He didn't even buy it off the guy. He was like became a broker
Yeah.
for the guy, and I think they brokered if he got it, it was 10%, and he ended up selling it for what was it, $27,000, the prototype with the rocket and the firing mechanism. And I guess there's two. There's one that's an L and one's a J. And the guy with the world's largest Star Wars collection has both of those, and he said it pretty much was like a giant mortgage payment just to get either way, get
Guarantee it.
those.
Yeah. Guarantee it.
Yeah. But I hear if you go like in that Cincinnati area, I don't know how well it's picked over, but a lot of those older, that's where all the Kenner guys was because that's
Right.
their headquarters, and you can find a lot of stuff like that.
So
But
there's a
I-
whole list of inventors who were killed by their inventions. Like there's a bunch.
I was gonna say there had to be more.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, even down to this guy Luis Jimenez was actually creating the Blue Mustang. It's a blue horse statue. It's very famous in Denver. I've seen it,
Yeah.
not in person, but I know what it is. And then when he was creating it, a part of it fell off and severed an artery in his leg.
Oh my goodness. So
And there have been plenty of people who created new ways to use bicycles, and they would get killed from them. New ways to make a car, and they would test them and it would kill them. That happened all the time. Airplanes are the same thing. Chemistry happened a lot. Obviously, industrial. We used to let children work in factories.
I took a tour in Lockport in New York, New York, over by where I used to live. It's over where I used to live in Niagara Falls. Very historical thing because of the whole lock and system and boats raising. And the guy was telling us when they were digging out this one tunnel that there was kids called powder monkeys, and they were called that because a guy would like hand drill a hole in there. They would stuff it with, like gunpowder, dynamite, or whatever, some explosive. And that's what the kid would do, stuff all that in there. And then the kid would light it and then run because he was smaller and faster.
Yeah. See, that's the thing too. A lot of these big machines, when they would break down or something, only little hands could actually get into places they needed to get to fix them. Poorly designed.
Children.
Yeah.
What saved America. That's why we got rewarded with great toys.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of these toys are just kind of funny and interesting, and what toy companies would put out there and say, you know what, maybe you should buy this and maybe you should do this. I think the funniest one is the CSI one, considering they were like, it's only 5%. We're just
there's a history of this. There's a Lion King toy where the very famous scene where Rafiki holds up a young Simba on Pride Rock. It's a very famous scene in animation. But there was this toy that came out that's supposed to give you that same moment, but it has an action to it. So it kind of looks like he's doing some terrible things to young Simba.
Yes.
There's another one where Disney's Tarzan has an action figure, but he has an action, and it looks looks like he's enjoying himself. I'll just say
without the Nimbus 2000 in between.
Just using whatever he's got on him. Going to town is what it looks like. So there's been plenty of times. There's been times even in your fast food Happy Meal toys.
Oh, the Minions.
The Minions is a very famous one where they would talk, but they would sound like they're saying some pretty awful stuff.
Was it Power Wheels that were catching on fire too? I saw something.
Yes. Early Power Wheels, which were huge when you were kids, by the way, as well.
I never had one.
I never had one either. I had cousins who did, and I was very jealous. I had the
pedal
what's
car?
the one? Is that what it is? It's got like a big wheel in the front and two small wheels in the back. I had one of those.
Those are big wheels. Yeah, no, those are big wheels.
Okay, that's what I had.
I had a big wheel. I had a Transformer big wheel, and then my brother and I also had the pedal cars.
But yes.
And we had a Kit and we had a General Lee.
All right, so let's end this episode on something fun here.
Okay.
What was the worst time, and what was the toy that you got hurt playing with the toy?
Oh, geez.
Because I have an answer right away for me.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I ever really got.
It's wild if you never got hurt because it sounds like you were actively trying.
I never really did get hurt, even though we were actively trying. I can't think of anything.
Oh, I have one. I'll go ahead and go while you're still trying
You
to
go.
think.
Yeah, I gotta search the memory bank.
So, like I said, I had a big wheel, and at my house when I was 5 years old, we had a humongous hill in our yard, perfect for big wheels. Perfect for big wheels. Take it to the top of the hill, roll down it. You're having a great time because you do like it actually leveled out pretty good too, so you're not going to crash at the end. However, when you're a kid and you love cars and NASCAR, what's your favorite thing in NASCAR when you're a kid? It's the
Crash.
crashes. Yeah. So what are you going to do when you're pretending you're a NASCAR? You're going to crash your car. And me and my friends were racing down my hill, and I quote unquote, oh, I'm going to crash here. It's going to be really fun. And I crashed and I rolled off my big wheel, and I was, oh, this is so cool. And I looked up just in time for my friend's big wheel to smash me in the face. It literally, I have my front teeth are not even because of that. That's the truth. It smashed one of my teeth.
I never hurt. You know what? I don't remember ever getting hurt. And I was that kid that like you gave me a roll of caps. You know how you get them in the roll?
Yeah.
I didn't load them into the gun. I just found
Oh,
it and just like So
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually surprised I'm still alive.
Did you ever get hurt like on a trampoline? A trampoline? Did you ever get hurt on a trampoline?
Maybe a trampoline. No,
But not a trampoline?
no.
So I got hurt on one of those too, but that was my own fault.
I drop kicked my friend off of one X. It was more of an accident. I gotta say it's an accident because I didn't realize what was gonna happen. I always loved the drop kick. And
My sister blamed me for her arm breaking on one. I got blamed. I think to this day she thinks I'm the one who broke her arm when it was because she thought she could just jump off from the trampoline.
I did. I think no, because that's not really a toy. My mama had a hot glue gun. And I got burned on the tip of that. Oh, I did get hurt by a toy once. but-
Okay, here we go.
Okay. It was a Rambo like toy gun.
Yeah.
Okay. So my father was chasing us around the house. All right, me and my brother. And I actually have a scar. Like if you ever notice, I don't know if you can see, like I can't grow hair on a certain part of my
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah.
I see it. Yeah.
Okay. So I was running. This is the only time I've actually been hurt by a toy, but it was kind of user error in a way, kind of like you with your big wheel.
Yeah.
And I was running and, he's like chasing, we're having a good time. And all of a sudden the barrel, and this is plastic. This is how good this thing was made. And the plastic went right in here. And I tripped and I fell so hard with such force that it cut that completely open and I had to get stitches.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So you did get hurt by a toy. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask too, a lot of the toys that we didn't really cover were recalled because little kids would put them in their mouth when we sort of talked about it.
Yeah.
And they would swallow them and that kind of thing. I don't ever remember ever doing that. Like thinking that I should eat this toy. Except for one time. Again, I've always loved artistic stuff. As a kid, I was always drawing and coloring. And you remember when Crayola came out with these scented crayons?
Oh,
They would smell like things. And my little stupid kid brain was like, man, I remember the one specifically. It smelled like cherries. And I was like, this thing's got to taste like cherries, right? Here's a spoiler alert. It's wax. It tastes just like wax because that's what it is.
I did think of another one when I was younger when you said putting toys in your mouth. So I did used to eat my brother's Star Wars guns and G.I. Joe guns. And he would, and obviously they're going to pass through you. I was like 2, maybe 3 years old. Okay. And he
Yeah.
used to beg my mom, like once they pass through me, like to go check my stool. And this is going to be the nicest part, my stool, and actually pick them out. And she's like, no, they're gone.
Yeah, they're
But
gone
she-
forever.
She said I had a tricycle or a bike. And you know how they used to have like those round red hubcaps?
Yeah, yes.
She did say at one point, like when I was like 1 or 2, I did get one of those off and I did put it in my mouth. And she was sitting on the porch, she was watching me, but she was reading a book. and
Yeah.
sitting on the porch having coffee, watching me play outside in the front yard. And she said she doesn't know how I did it, but I popped it off and then I ate it and I turned around and I looked at her and I couldn't breathe. And she had to like do the J hooking sweep through my mouth. And she said she could
Wow.
feel the suction once it came like and just so there's a
Oh,
lot
man.
of times, like they said, I've walked in the middle of the street in a walker. So I pretty much should not be here. There's been, now that I've looked at it throughout my whole entire life, so I've
Yeah.
had many bouts of death where I should not have been here right now.
Yeah, me too. I mean, me and you kind of grew up in an era too where it's kind of the last of letting kids go out into the
And-
world and be kids.
Yeah.
You know, like we could, me and my friends would ride bikes in the neighborhood, and I'm talking like we could ride like up to a mile from our house.
Yeah.
And it was no big deal. We would almost get run over by cars all the time. That's one of my favorite stories. Is Trevor and I were riding up because there's a school that was like a mile from my house, and we could ride up there and we could play basketball or play on the playground, all that kind of stuff. So we would go up there all the time. And once you got out of our neighborhood, though, you just had to do one crossing of the street, just one little crossing of the street. And we were crossing because you couldn't see. It was kind of a blind corner was there as well. You couldn't really see past forward, but we didn't hear anything. And then this woman comes around this corner, and I swear to you, Trevor could have touched her car. That's how close she got to Trevor. And it was so close that she pulled off the road to compose herself because she thought she just about murdered a child. I remember that very clearly because she was way more affected than Trevor was. Trevor was like, "Oh, I'm just about to hit my car," but she had to pull off the road and be like, "Oh God, what did I just about do?"
Probably if you guys were kids, you was more worried about getting over to just be able to go play other than his
100%. That's
actual-
all we
his
were
own
thinking
life.
about. Yeah. Yeah, we laugh about it now, but like
Yeah.
back then when it happened, we just didn't even like it. 100% affected that poor woman way more than it did anything me or Trevor.
That's a great way to end this. We gotta actually, I think the best way if we were gonna talk more about this is I know it's older, but I would love to take a look at Class Action Park.
Oh yeah, we got to do that. Yeah, because that kind of falls in line with what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
It was literally. We'll talk about it more on a future episode, but basically, it's a theme park that
And
didn't care about safety.
yeah. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
It was that lovely era between late 70s, 80s to early 90s.
Yeah, where safety was a sort of thing.
It happened. That's my favorite part in 8-Bit Christmas when he's talking to his kid. And
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great movie, by the way. Go see that. Came
yeah.
out last year, I think it was. A very good
Yep.
movie. But yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff coming up for Christmas time.
Yes, we
For
do.
the holidays. We got some fun stuff to continue with the theme. What are we doing next time, Andrew?
We are tiering play sets, and we're hoping to get Brian Finch back on. That son of a Finch.
Yeah,
As Johnny
Brian
McPhee.
slash Barney Finch
Yeah.
is going to be showing up. He was one of the lucky kids who had. I promise you, anytime I brought up a play set or something cool toy that I wanted as a kid, he almost always tells me, "Yeah, I had that as
He had
a
a
kid."
power glove.
Yeah, he had a power glove. So he's that kid that we all wish we were growing up. So we're gonna have Brian on. So I'm very excited to talk about that. Be prepared for a lot of Ninja Turtle playset talks from me.
I was G.I. Joe playset all the way. But thank you everybody for listening. Once again, go check out our Patreon. We are still working on seeing the Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
We still can't see the ghost of Mr. Chicken yet. We would love to be able to see it at some point in our careers as podcasters.
We have some exclusive content with skits and everything else on there. Go check out the Facebook page. Check us out on the network, bicbp-radio.com. First time I ever got that right.
There you go.
And then, go Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. I do some Let's Plays on there. Hopefully get Johnny up soon. We could do some screenshots and compare us on each side to see how far we can get into video games on each side there and do some other great stuff as well. And I think that's about it. You got anything else, Johnny?
No, I think you covered it all. Just check out if you like check out our sports show as well that we're doing.
The Retroactive Sports Podcast.
Yeah, check that out. It's me and Andrew, and we have some guests on from time to time, and we talk about fun and strange and just really historical sports stuff. So if you're into sports and you love especially retro sports, I guess be the best way to put it, go check it out. No, we would very much appreciate it. Just for example, we just did a draft of the top 75 basketball players.
Yep.
So we're going throughout history there. So just go check it out. We'd appreciate it very much. But yeah, I think that's it, Andrew. I think we did it. We did it. Is this episode going to get banned?
I don't. You know what? I've listened to some other episodes. I think we're going to be okay with this one. Never know, though. But with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
And please get me that great gift of a Harry Potter broom. I would love nothing more than to stick it between my legs and just go for a great flight out on the night.